Hey guys, tonight we're pulling back the velvet curtain on a name that once made Miami tremble, Griselda Blanco. But forget the shootouts and the headlines for now. Tonight, we're going deeper. Picture a quiet villa nestled in the hills above Medellín, where the only sound is the low hum of a fan brushing against sheer curtains. Outside, a guard leans against a stucco wall, pretending not to glance at the balcony above. Inside, a woman who once ran an empire lingers at the edge of her bed in silk slippers, thinking not about power, but about survival. Griselda Blanco isn't in handcuffs. She isn't even hiding exactly. She's doing something far stranger. She's waiting. But for what? Retribution? Redemption? Or just the one knock on the door she always knew would come? So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. I want to see how far this sleepy mob tale travels. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The summer of 1993 doesn't feel like summer in the high neighborhoods of Medellín. The air is cool, restless, and loaded with silence. Griselda Blanco steps barefoot onto the polished tile floor of her second-floor bedroom, the same room where she slept since arriving back in Colombia under a fake passport and a real sense of dread. She lights a thin cigarette. Not the clunky, perfumed kind of her Miami years, but a local brand with more ash than flavor. The smoke curls past her face, vanishing into the slow churn of her ceiling fan. That fan. It never stops. Not for power outages, not for storms, not even for sleep. It's been rewired, repurposed, given a generator of its own. Griselda doesn't like silence. Not anymore. Her villa sits on a hillside, framed by pines and bougainvillea, with walls tall enough to keep stray eyes away. But even walls can't keep memories from sliding in through the cracks. A few rooms down, a maid named Teresa straightens the linen on a bed no one's used in weeks. She always hums a bolero when she's nervous. She hums a lot. Griselda watches her from the security feed, sipping black coffee, already on her second cup before the sun rises. She's stealing, Griselda murmurs to no one. Maybe. Maybe not. But the paranoia that helped her survive decades in the drug trade doesn't go away just because she's no longer running it. Do you remember the day she left Miami in that borrowed truck with her last stack of clean bills tucked under the seat? Because she does. It wasn't dramatic. There were no helicopters, no gunfire, just a plain ride out. A silent goodbye to the city that had both made and nearly unmade her. Here, in Medellín, people pretend not to recognize her. But they do. The butcher won't look her in the eye. The priest at church shortens his homilies when she's in attendance. Even the local narcos steer clear. They don't fear the woman she is now. They fear the ghosts she drags behind her. One morning, she wakes to find a wilted rose tucked between the pages of her Bible. No one admits to leaving it. She doesn't ask twice. Instead, she moves the book to a different shelf. The rose stays. There are security cameras in every hallway. She doesn't watch them for protection. She watches them because she enjoys catching people pretending. The cook pretending not to listen at her door. The driver pretending he's not texting someone he shouldn't be texting. It's not trust she's looking for. It's rhythm. When the rhythm changes, something's coming. She calls her youngest son once every 6 weeks, exactly. Always on a Wednesday. Always from the back room with the white rotary phone. He answers. He never says much. Neither does she. They both know the danger of words. "Mama," he says, "still safe?" Her lips twitch. "For now. But what's safety, really? A villa with thick walls and thicker curtains? Or the illusion that the past can't track you down a flight of stairs?" She keeps a ledger in her closet, not one of accounts or debts, but of dreams. Or rather, dreams she's had about the dead. One night she scribbles, "Rivi," by the stove. Didn't speak, just stared. Another night, Dario, young again, brought marbles. No blood this time. She never shows anyone the notebook. Sometimes even she forgets where she hides it. Scholars still debate if Griselda truly believed the dead visited her. Many people still think that the lines between her spiritual fears and her strategic manipulations blurred entirely in those final decades. So what do you think? Was it madness? Or just masterful theater? She reads the newspaper every morning, scanning headlines for names she thought she'd erased. Some days she finds one. A distant cousin arrested. A rival's son married into politics. A judge she once paid now running a charity. She circles the names, then burns the page. Outside, the gardener trims a palm tree with such focus, it looks meditative. He's been here 6 years and has never said a word. Not hello. Not goodbye. Nothing. Griselda respects that. She doesn't need talkers. She needs people who don't flinch when thunder cracks at 3 a.m. She wears pearls, even when no one's around. She says it reminds her spine that it used to stand taller. And when Teresa, the maid, brings her lunch, she always asks the same question. Did anyone call? The answer is always no, and yet she never stops waiting. Griselda's dreams return that night, and this time, they come dressed in denim and drenched in fluorescent light. The mall, not just any mall, that mall, Dadeland. It always starts the same. Glass doors swing open to a Miami afternoon, and somewhere in the distance, someone's dropped a soda can. It clatters just a beat too loud. In her dream, she walks toward a boutique that used to sell high-heeled crocodile pumps. She never wore them. Too flashy. But she bought a pair for every mistress of every lieutenant, just to keep peace in the pack. Then the shooting begins. It's always delayed in the dream, like the sound arrives secondhand. But when it does, the chaos rushes back as clear as the blood on tile. Customers screaming, shell casings bouncing like pennies, a display mannequin losing its head. The men doing the shooting? Not always the same. Sometimes they're faceless. Sometimes they look like old friends. Occasionally, rarely, they look like her own sons. She wakes before anyone dies. The fan is still humming. The moon has shifted. She reaches for her notebook and writes, "Mall again. White coat. Rivi laughing." By 6 a.m., she's already in the garden, wrapped in a navy shawl, cigarette pinched between 2 fingers like an afterthought. The dog, a mangy but loyal mutt they call Coma, sniffs around the fountain, occasionally pausing to stare at nothing. That's when Griselda gets nervous. Animals see things we train ourselves to ignore. She stares at the fountain's edge, where the stone has started to crack. The drip, drip, drip of the water used to soothe her. Now, it grates. She's convinced something lives in that fountain, beneath the tiles, maybe inside the pipes. Nothing supernatural, just something forgotten. A gun, a tape, a set of keys. Something. Later that morning, Teresa mentions needing to leave early. Her cousin's birthday. Griselda doesn't blink. "What's his name?" she asks softly. Teresa hesitates. "Luis." Griselda smiles faintly. "It was Carlos last time, and that's all she says." Teresa nods, as if apologizing for the inconsistency, and vanishes into the hallway. After lunch, Griselda retreats to what used to be a music room. The piano's gone, but the acoustics are excellent, and that matters more for what she uses it for now. Recordings, conversations, archival audio she's collected over decades, some from bugs, some from tapped lines, a few mailed to her anonymously. She calls the room La Catedral, not because it's sacred, but because it echoes like one. Today, she plays an old cassette labeled Florida Line 1981. The voice on the other end is sharp, twitchy, American, possibly a DEA agent, possibly a cousin pretending to be one. She moved the product through Coconut Grove, under the church steps, like she always does. Same code, same car. She rewinds, plays it again. Same voice, same fear. That voice always sounded like it knew it wouldn't live long. A scholar once said that Griselda orchestrated her violence the way a composer arranges silence, not as absence, but as suspense. There's still debate about whether she was the actual mastermind behind Dadeland's infamous shootout, or merely the spark that lit someone else's fire. Many people still think that the hit was meant to send a message to her, not from her. So what do you think? Was Griselda already in the shadows, or still pulling strings with blood-stained gloves? She pauses the tape. For a moment, the silence is real. Then, laughter. Not hers. Not from the tape. A child's. She rushes out into the hallway. Nothing. No one. She walks barefoot toward the rear patio. There, under the orange tree, is a single balloon. Half deflated. Yellow. No string. She picks it up, turns it in her hand, and whispers, "Not today." At sunset, her oldest guard, El Negro, checks in. He's the only one who speaks to her directly anymore. She trusts him because he once threatened to quit, and anyone willing to walk away from her is more honest than someone who smiles too much. El Periodico, he says, handing her the day's paper. She scans it. A raid in Barranquilla. Someone she used to know was arrested. She folds the paper carefully and burns it in the outdoor fireplace. "Anything else?" she asks. There's movement on the road. A red car that keeps looping. "How many loops?" "4, she exhales. "If it loops 5, we say hello." Later that night, she stands on the upstairs balcony. The city twinkles in the far distance, a glittering reminder of things she once controlled and now merely observes. The villa behind her hums softly. Fans, fridges, hearts still beating. She closes her eyes, and for a brief second, she's back in the mall. But this time, there's no gunfire, just music, elevator music, slow and syrupy. She opens her eyes again. The hum of the fan returns. The moon's lower now, and she waits for the red car to pass a 5th time. Griselda wears silk robes like armor. The fabric whispers when she walks, catching on doorknobs and occasionally swaying too close to candle flames. Each morning, she chooses the color like a general preparing for battle. Today's is burgundy, rich and deep like old blood, tied at the waist with a knot only she seems able to undo. She takes her coffee in the West Solarium, where the light leaks through dusty panes and lands on marble with a kind of exhausted grace. The birds in the yard chirp out of habit, but never approach. Even they know better. The villa runs on routine. It's how she keeps the fear from settling too deep. There's a schedule: prayer, coffee, surveillance review, reading, then a slow walk through the inner garden. Every Monday, she reviews financial ledgers from distant cousins, still loyal. Every Friday, she walks the perimeter wall. And every afternoon at precisely 3:15, she locks the master bedroom door and naps for exactly 27 minutes. No more, no less. But today, the routine fractures. She hears the maid humming again, louder than usual, as if daring someone to notice. Griselda raises one eyebrow and checks the monitor. Teresa moves between rooms like someone memorizing the layout, not cleaning it. She narrows her eyes. Someone's coming, she mutters, or she wants me to think so. The robe flows behind her as she walks through the hallway, its hem just grazing the hand-woven rugs imported from Ecuador. She stops in the sewing room, a space she never uses. A room built more for appearances than purpose. No one sews here. There's a machine, sure, and some thread. But Griselda knows the real purpose of this room. She requested it when the house was built. She kneels beside the wall and taps, hollow. Beneath the thick cabinet filled with bolts of unused fabric, there's a groove. She pulls, a trapdoor. Inside, darkness and dust and air that hasn't moved in months. And something else, a velvet bag the size of a loaf of bread, tied with a leather string. She doesn't open it. Not yet. Instead, she runs her fingers over the top and exhales slowly. "You're still here," she whispers. She hasn't opened this trapdoor in nearly 5 years. Not since the week after her third son's funeral. Many people still think she had a hand in that death, that it wasn't just cartel business, but maternal fury wrapped in silence. So, what do you think? Could a mother order her own grief? Or did she just stand back and let it happen? She reseals the space and adjusts the cabinet so it looks untouched. As she stands, her knees pop softly, not the sharp sound of youth, but the creak of someone who's carried more secrets than her bones were designed to hold. Back in the kitchen, a lunch of soup and cassava awaits. Teresa stands nearby, hands folded. "Did you finish the upstairs?" Griselda asks. "Yes, señora." Griselda nods. "And the sewing room?" "Yes, señora." "No dust?" Teresa hesitates. "None." "Interesting," Griselda murmurs. "I thought I left it quite thick yesterday." The air stills. A spoon clinks in the bowl. Teresa's throat bobs once, then again. "I cleaned carefully," she says finally. Griselda waves her off. "You always do." After lunch, she retires to the study. Her books aren't for show. She's read most of them. Some she's read twice, especially the biographies, especially the ones where powerful people die alone. She doesn't fear death, but she fears the wrong kind of ending. The phone rings, not the house line, the burner, the one she keeps in a drawer under the floorboards. She answers. No greeting, just breath. Then, "You left the closet light on." Click. She doesn't panic. She doesn't scream. She stands up, walks calmly upstairs, and checks the closet. Dark. She closes the door, locks it, and sits on the edge of her bed, heart pacing like a man just realizing he's lost. The fan hums louder than usual. Outside, the fountain continues to drip, now with a syncopation that annoys her. It's off rhythm, like someone's tampered with the flow. By dinner, she's calmer. El Negro checks in. "Anything new?" she asks. "Red car didn't return." She nods. Because it didn't need to. She doesn't sleep that night. Instead, she lies in bed and listens, not for footsteps or whispers, but for what isn't there. The silence. It's different now, and it's wearing her robe. The name on the envelope is Maria Fernandez. It arrives 2 days after the call. Hand-delivered, no stamp, tucked neatly beneath the front gate at dawn. The handwriting is soft, too careful, like someone trying not to leave fingerprints through ink. The guards don't notice, or pretend not to. Griselda doesn't open it immediately. She lets it sit on the dining room table while she finishes her morning rituals. Prayer, coffee, then 15 minutes staring at the old photo of her mother she keeps beside the tea set. The photo's edges are curling. Her mother's eyes never have. By the time she finally breaks the wax seal, her hands are dry. The kind of dry that comes from age and bleach and years of not apologizing. Inside, a single sheet. blank, but for a name. Raulito. Just that. Written in blue ink. A name she hasn't heard spoken aloud in nearly 20 years. She closes the note slowly, like she's tucking a body into a grave. The name is a ghost, and ghosts don't knock unless they want something. At lunch, she's quieter than usual. Even Teresa hums at a lower volume. The meat is tough, the rice too wet, but Griselda doesn't complain. She just stares at the glass of water in front of her, as if it's about to tell her something. That afternoon the boy comes. He's maybe 10, maybe 12. It's hard to tell with boys like him. Skinny, wide-eyed, one shoe untied. He arrives with the milk delivery, holding onto the back of the cart like he belongs there. El Negro catches him before he gets to the gate, but the boy doesn't flinch. He simply lifts a plastic bag toward the guard. "This is for La Señora," he says. Inside, a crayon drawing of a woman in a red dress standing beside a dog. The dog looks like Coma. The woman's face is mostly scribbles, but the pearls around her neck are unmistakable. Griselda examines it in silence. "Who gave this to you?" she asks the boy. "Lady in yellow dress," he replies. "And where is she now?" The boy shrugs. "Gone. But she gave me this too." He holds out a folded square of paper. It smells faintly of perfume, jasmine, and something else underneath. Something metallic. This time, no note. Just a photo. Grainy, surveillance style. A market in Bogota. And in the corner, almost out of frame, a silhouette that could be her. But she hasn't been to Bogota in 3 years. Has she? Many people still think that in her final years, Griselda maintained not just one identity, but several. Some say as many as 4 doubles were paid to appear publicly in her stead, clouding her whereabouts. So what do you think? Could the woman in the photo be a ghost in training? Or the real Griselda slipping out for one last errand? She burns the photo that night, not because of fear, because of the dress. It was hers once. A silk number, dyed deep yellow, now missing from her closet. Later, she walks the perimeter of the villa, barefoot. The stone path is cold, but not unkind. Coma follows a few steps behind, limping slightly. The stars above are hazy, blurred by city lights far below. As she turns a corner, she spots something near the hedge. A single earring, gold, small ruby at the center. She doesn't touch it, just stares, then calls El Negro. "Bag it," she says. "Someone get in?" Someone got close. Back inside, she pours herself a small glass of brandy, just enough to remember and forget at the same time. She sits in her reading chair and flips open a volume of Neruda, but the words won't settle. They blur, run together. She closes it again. On the wall across from her chair hangs a painting of the Virgin Mary, La Milagrosa, bought in Cartagena decades ago, back when her empire was peaking and her fears were still shaped like DEA agents and unpaid pilots. Now the fear has changed shape. It's quieter. It hums, like the fan, or the drip of the fountain, or the way Teresa keeps checking the same drawer 3 times a day. Griselda calls for her. The maid appears in the doorway, wiping her hands on her apron. "Yes, señora?" "What's in the left cabinet of the sewing room?" Teresa blinks. "Just cloth, señora. Some ribbons, old lace. No tools?" "No, señora." "Are you sure?" "Yes." Griselda tilts her head. "You've never seen the trapdoor?" Teresa says nothing. A breath passes. Then Griselda waves her off. "Go clean the silver, it's tarnished." After she's gone, Griselda walks to the wall safe behind the bookcase. She turns the dials slowly. 18 left, 4 right, 13 back. The numbers never change. Inside, papers, 3 phones, a rosary made from jet black beads, and a small revolver wrapped in blue velvet. She touches it gently, not to use, but to remember that it's there. Then she closes the safe, locks the case, and sits again in her chair. She watches the Virgin's eyes for movement. They don't blink, yet. The maid's notebook is wrapped in plastic and stuffed between two cleaning solution bottles beneath the sink in the back hallway, where only someone paranoid or nosy would look. Griselda is both. She finds it during a morning inspection she calls a humidity check, though everyone knows she's searching for signs of rot, of betrayal, of curiosity gone too far. The notebook is cheap, pages yellowing at the corners, bound with a plastic spiral and covered in faint doodles of flowers, crosses, and one peculiar heart with a bullet hole through it. She flips it open. Inside, names, dates, meal notes, chores, prayers. Nothing strange at first glance, but halfway through, the tone shifts. Paragraphs emerge between lists, casual at first, then more intimate. She watches me when she thinks I'm not looking. The trapdoor was real. I think the gardener is her brother, or her killer, or both. The yellow dress came back. Griselda shuts the book, then she opens it again. Many people still think that household staff often knew more than the agents assigned to protect or hunt cartel figures, silent witnesses to daily rituals and missteps. So, what do you think? Was Teresa writing for herself or someone else? And how long had she been recording the house instead of cleaning it? She places the notebook on the mahogany table in the solarium, right next to the sugar bowl. She doesn't say a word about it. She doesn't need to. That afternoon, Teresa doesn't show up for her shift. By 5 p.m., El Negro confirms. She's gone. Left behind her apron, her ID, and an uncashed envelope containing her last month's pay. The only trace? A faint smell of that same jasmine metal perfume near the back gate. Griselda eats dinner in silence. Plantains, beans, and rice. No meat. Her appetite is gone, and she doesn't trust the new cook yet. The fan in the dining room buzzes with a slight wobble. She likes it that way. Perfect machines make her nervous. After dinner, she retires early. Not to sleep, but to listen. The tapes. Tonight's is labeled Calle Ocho, Nightline 1985. She slides it into the recorder, its wheels spinning with the familiar creak of old plastic. The voices crackle. She hears her own name. Griselda Blanco, dubbed the Black Widow by some, is believed to be behind a wave of executions stretching from Miami to New York. Authorities say she's vanished. Again. She snorts softly. "I never vanished," she whispers. "You just stopped looking in the right places." She clicks off the tape and leans back, eyes on the ceiling, as the fan paints soft moving shadows across the plaster. She remembers the first time she saw a gun as a child. Small, silver, left carelessly in her mother's purse. Her fingers wrapped around it like it was a doll. Funny how quickly a thing can feel like home. Outside, Coma barks once sharply. She sits up. Footsteps crunch on gravel near the garden gate. She presses the silent alarm. El Negro responds, but when they reach the gate, nothing. Just a pile of fresh fruit, carefully arranged. 3 guavas, a banana, and a mango, all untouched. On top, a card. The handwriting is the same as before. It reads, "Raulito still remembers." She doesn't touch the fruit. She doesn't go back inside. She stands under the moonlight, letting the breeze lift her robe and chill her arms. For the first time in weeks, she looks out over the city lights and doesn't feel like she's watching from above, but from beneath. She turns to El Negro. "Tomorrow," she says, "we change the locks, all of them, and sweep the house for bugs." He nods. "And the gardener?" El Negro hesitates. Still hasn't spoken. Griselda sighs. Maybe that's why I trust him. That night, she dreams of a red hallway, narrow, endless. At the far end, her son Raoul stands barefoot, holding a plastic gun, asking her to come home. She wakes before she can answer. Sunday mornings at the villa are quieter than usual, and that's saying something. No trucks rumble past the gate, no deliveries arrive, and even the birds seem content to keep their opinions to themselves. It's the one day Griselda allows herself to slip into old habits. A little syrup in her coffee, a longer soak in the bath, and, most shockingly, a visit to Mass. She doesn't go every week. That would be too predictable. But when she does, she wears a veil. Not out of modesty, but for the same reason you draw curtains during a lightning storm. Some faces should not be struck twice by God. This morning, she chooses the black lace. It softens her jawline, obscures the sharp glint of her eyes, and makes her look, at a distance, like someone grieving. Which in a way, she always is. The driver brings the car around, a vintage Peugeot she prefers for its slowness, and they roll through town while she counts exits, alleys, and witnesses. At the church, she sits 3 pews from the back, never closer. Always left side, easier to slip out if needed. The priest nods. No homily, just scripture. Psalm 51. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. Cute, she thinks. When it's time for communion, she doesn't rise. She hasn't taken the host since 1989. Not since a DEA informant tried to poison her with a blessed wafer dipped in antifreeze. Still, she writes down names, not just on paper. In her head, she files them under categories: safe, suspect, gone too soon. Today, she adds 3 names to a mental list she calls forgiveness possibilities. At the villa, after church, she lights a candle. Not to the Virgin, but to San La Muerte. The icon sits in a small, hidden shrine behind a bookshelf. Cloaked skeleton, scales in hand, looking half bored, half amused. She whispers to it, not as a supplicant, but as an equal. I don't ask to live forever, she murmurs. Just long enough. Then she opens the notebook again, the one with the names. Today, she adds another. Maria Fernandez. She writes it carefully, then underlines it once. Just once. Later, the mail arrives. Unusual for a Sunday. A padded envelope. No sender, no stamp. But it smells faintly, yes, of jasmine and steel. Inside, a cassette tape. No label, no case. She takes it straight to the solarium, where the recorder sits waiting like an old friend with secrets. She slides the tape in, presses play, and leans back. At first, static. Then music. Not radio, live piano. The tune is halting, imperfect, played by someone who learned as a child and never quite got better. It stumbles, recovers, then dissolves into silence. Then a voice. Faint, familiar. You always liked this one. Male. Colombian accent. Clipped. Controlled. Then, you said I would die before I turned 16. Click. Silence. Griselda stares at the machine. She doesn't move. She doesn't breathe. Then she presses play again. Nothing. The tape is blank now. The message was one time only, burned in like a curse. Many people still think that one of Griselda's sons, believed dead in the chaos of her empire's fall, may have survived under a different name, vanishing into the very system that tried to erase him. So what do you think? Was the tape a cruel trick? Or a breadcrumb from someone she'd already buried in her heart? At dinner, she eats slowly. Sardines, rice, steamed cassava, comfort food, war food. She chews each bite like it might have meaning. El Negro, she says. Do you believe in ghosts? He blinks. No. She smiles. Good. They're just people who haven't finished what they started. Later that night, she walks the garden path barefoot again, eyes scanning the hedges for movement. Nothing, except a folded piece of cloth tied to the gatepost, a boy's handkerchief. Monogrammed with a single R, she pockets it without a word. Back in her bedroom, she lays the cloth beside the notebook and pours herself a glass of water. The fan hums above, and outside, in the dark, someone whistles a lullaby she hasn't heard since 1974. He says his name is Andres. He arrives without an appointment, without shoes, and without fear. The guards almost shoot him. Almost. But El Negro sees something in the boy's posture. Something too still to be dangerous. He's not more than 20. Skinny. Bad haircut. Wears a t-shirt with an old American cartoon on it. Looks like someone who'd get lost in a bakery. Not someone about to knock on the villa gate of Griselda Blanco. But knock he does. Griselda sees him on the camera feed before anyone tells her. She watches how he waits. Not anxious, not twitchy. He stands like he belongs here. She makes them let him in. He sits at the edge of the formal parlor sofa, legs crossed, hands folded. The room smells faintly of mothballs and lemon oil. Behind him, an oil painting of a long-dead Colombian general glares at the room, like he suspects rebellion is hiding under the couch cushions. Griselda walks in slowly. Andres stands, offers a nod. Not a bow, not a handshake, just a nod, like an heir recognizing a matriarch. "You have a face I've never seen," she says. "I've been told I have yours," he replies. She squints, takes a breath, says nothing. If blood could hum, hers would be doing it now. Andres, he calls himself her grandson, says his mother never told him until last year, when she was dying. Says he came not for money or recognition, but to meet the woman who made history. She doesn't believe him. Not fully. But there's a corner of her mind, that dusty room with the locked drawers, that slides open just a crack. She offers him coffee. He declines. "Tea? No, thank you." "Brandy?" He nods, just a little. He sips like a child pretending to be a man. Doesn't flinch at the burn. She likes that. She doesn't ask for proof. Not yet. She asks instead, "Who sent you?" He tilts his head. "You did." And with that, the tone of the room shifts. She waves the guards out. He talks. About growing up in Medellín. About his mother's quiet sadness. About the way she used to hold a locket at night and whisper names that never showed up in family albums. About the man he thought was his grandfather. Drunk, distant, and always afraid of the phone ringing after dark. He has questions. Not the ones she expects. Not about the money, or the murders, or even the legend. He wants to know what she was like at 23. What music she danced to. What perfume she wore. "Why?" she asks. "I want to know what parts of you I carry." She laughs, not mockingly, softly, almost involuntarily. She tells him about boleros on vinyl, about a red silk blouse she wore until it fell apart, about a boy she once loved, who sold her out for 3 ounces of coke and a new apartment in Bogota. She doesn't mention what happened to him. He doesn't ask. They talk until sunset. When he finally stands to go, he doesn't try to hug her. He simply places a small, worn notebook on the table. "This was my mother's." She waits until he leaves to open it. Inside more names, but written differently. Rounder letters, softer loops. These aren't names of enemies. They're memories. "Raulito," broke the lamp and blamed the wind, Dario. "Always stole extra mango slices, Griselda. The only woman I feared and admired equally." Her hand trembles slightly. Many people still think Griselda's capacity for cruelty was matched only by her loyalty. Once you were inside her circle, betrayal wasn't just punished, it was erased. So what do you think? Would she have protected this child's mother? Or sent her running? That night, she doesn't light any candles. She doesn't drink. She doesn't even change out of her robe. She simply lies in bed and stares at the ceiling. The fan turns slowly. Outside, someone sets off fireworks in the valley. Leftover from a wedding, maybe, or a political victory. Each pop echoes through the hills. She counts them. 23. The age she was when she first crossed a border under someone else's name. She wonders what Andres' real name is, and whether he'll ever come back. His name used to be El Tiburon. They called him the Shark, not because he bit hard, but because you never saw him coming. Always under the surface, always circling, always waiting for blood. Now he wears glasses with thick frames and leans on a cane polished smoother than his handshake. When he arrives at the villa's gate in a rusted sedan, even El Negro pauses before opening the gate. Not out of fear, out of recognition. Griselda watches him on the monitor, her mouth twitching somewhere between a smile and a memory. "Let him in," she says, already walking to the study. They meet in the same room where she once signed off on a shipping route that moved $8 million worth of powder in a single week. Now, it smells faintly of cinnamon and old paper. Tiburon removes his cap, revealing a scalp like cracked marble. "Still standing," he says, voice gruff. "Barely," she answers. "But I make it look good." He laughs. It's a dry, rasping sound, like someone opening a creaky window to let the past in. They sit opposite each other. Between them, a low glass table. Empty but for a bowl of candies Griselda never eats, and a set of coasters no one uses. He gets to it fast. They always do when time has started counting louder. "I heard about the boy," Tiburon says. "What boy?" "The one with your chin and your nerves." She doesn't reply. Doesn't have to. He leans forward. "You sure he's not bait?" She tilts her head. "You came all this way to tell me about bait?" "No, I came to ask if you're preparing for something." "I'm always preparing." "But for what?" She sips her water. "Maybe to die in peace." He laughs again, louder this time. "We don't get that luxury." There's a pause between them. A thick one. The kind of pause that carries names neither of them say anymore. Rivi, Jorge, Augustine. Ghosts with gold teeth and short tempers. He reaches into his coat and pulls out a small package wrapped in brown paper and twine. "I kept this," he says. She unwraps it carefully. Inside, a Polaroid. Faded. 4 people at a beach. One is her, one is him. The other 2, long gone. She stares at it longer than she should. The sun is bright in the picture, but none of them are squinting. "I remember this day," she says. "So do I." They sit in silence again. This time, it's not thick. It's respectful. Many people still think that Griselda kept a circle of enforcers and confidants long after she officially retired, often more for companionship than protection. So, what do you think? Was Tiburon a loyal friend, or just another chess piece moving toward the end of the board? Before he leaves, he offers her something unexpected. Information. Not a request, not a warning, but a pure gift. "There's someone new in Bogota, using your roots, not subtle about it." She raises an eyebrow. "Name?" "Goes by La Sombra. Says she learned from the best." Griselda frowns. "Woman?" Tiburon nods. Late 20s, wears yellow. A beat. Then she smiles. "Maybe the legend's good for marketing." He stands with effort. They don't hug. They never have. He places a wrinkled hand on the back of her chair as he passes, a gesture more intimate than 1,000 words. When he's gone, she doesn't move for a long time. She rereads the note Andres left tucked into his mother's notebook. The past doesn't go away. It just changes costumes. That evening, while brushing her hair, she hears the fountain shift pitch again. The dripping has slowed. She walks out barefoot, robe fluttering like a whisper. By the stone basin, a child's shoe sits upside down. Inside, a gold tooth. She doesn't touch it. Not yet. Instead, she murmurs to herself, "He always did lose things in pairs." That night, she rewinds a different tape, one from 1992. recorded at a hotel in Queens. Her voice on the line. Calm. Too calm. He owes me more than an apology. She doesn't listen to the rest. She knows how it ends. She dreams of the ocean. This time she's not alone. She's swimming, and something follows just beneath the surface. She's never trusted medicine that comes with a receipt. Pharmacies are for people who believe in disclaimers. Griselda prefers tinctures, powders in folded paper, oils that shimmer faintly when the light hits just right. The old ways, each morning, before the staff stir and before Coma stretches his lazy frame by the fountain, she opens a carved wooden box on her dresser. Inside, her apothecary, dried leaves, a dropper, a few vials she wouldn't dare take through customs. She mixes carefully, half instinct, half superstition. One tonic for sleep, another to slow her pulse, a third to soothe the ache in her spine that whispers every time it rains. The bottles have no labels, just her memory and a confidence forged in prison cells and backroom deals. But lately, none of them are working. The sleep tonic leaves her restless. The nerve drops seem thinner. Even the peppermint salve smells wrong. She opens the notebook again. Not the one from Teresa, not Andres's either, but her own. The blue one with the frayed spine and the pressed orchid on the inside cover. Inside, she has pages filled with codes, not for drugs, for dreams. Each page is a report. Date, weather, what she ate before bed, what she saw. Sometimes symbols. Once, just the word Dario written 13 times. Today's entry is brief. Dreamt of the plane again, but I wasn't on it. She tucks the notebook back under her pillow. She always hides it somewhere new. Not because she thinks someone's looking, but because it forces her to remember where she put it. A ritual of control. Many people still think Griselda's obsessive routines, like dream tracking and potion crafting, were symptoms of a mind unraveling under pressure. So what do you think? Were these the last threads of sanity, or the only anchors left holding a myth together? That afternoon, a letter arrives. No envelope, just a single folded page slid under the front door like a lazy threat. It reads, "You lied about the Queen's job. We never forgot. No name, no fingerprint." But the pen strokes are angry, pressed deep into the paper. The Q curls inward. She remembers that curl. She sits at her desk and opens a file marked espejos, mirrors. It's not digital. It's paper. Real. Inside, dossiers, photos, street names, old habits. She flips to one labeled G. Rivera and pulls the page out. A man with a thick mustache, once known for his obsession with Elvis and homemade explosives. Supposedly dead in 1996. Supposedly buried with 2 others in a narco-mass grave. She never believed the grave was full. At dinner, she doesn't eat, just drinks broth, slow and steady. El Negro stands nearby, watching her with that same unreadable expression he's worn for years. He finally speaks. "You're thinner." She smiles. "I'm becoming vapor. Easier to disappear." He doesn't laugh. He doesn't blink. Later that evening, she opens a letter she's left untouched for months. The handwriting is her son's, the one she lost in New York, the one no one's allowed to name in the house. Inside, a drawing, crayon, childlike. A woman and a small boy holding hands, palm trees in the background, a sun with long, uneven rays. On the back, "I miss the pink dress." She exhales so slowly it could be mistaken for wind. The pink dress. She wore it once, just once, on a boat headed toward Key West. Her son had laughed when she twirled in it. She never wore it again. She bled on it that night, from a cut or a memory. She never told anyone which. She folds the letter and places it inside her notebook. Not to keep it safe, but to keep it close. The next morning, the herbalist arrives, a tiny woman with shoulders like a coat hanger and hands that tremble until they touch a leaf. She walks through the villa like she owns the soil. "You're sick," she tells Griselda. "I'm old." "No, sick." She mixes her something bitter, something dark. Griselda drinks it without flinching. "You'll dream tonight," the herbalist says. "Good. You'll see the truth." Griselda nods. "I always do. The problem is, it keeps changing." That night, she dreams of her own face. Not in a mirror, but on someone else. A girl, wearing yellow. And this time, the girl has her smile. The trapdoor creaks louder than it should. Wood swells in the Medellín humidity, especially when secrets are involved. Griselda kneels, slowly, joints whispering complaints into the silk folds of her robe. She lifts the panel and peers into the cavity below the sewing room. No candle this time, just the cold air rising from that small, dark rectangle like breath held too long. She reaches in and lifts out the velvet bag. The drawstring pulls free with a sigh. Inside, an old passport, a cassette, a rosary missing 3 beads, and a revolver wrapped in a lace handkerchief. She unrolls the cloth and stares at the metal, oiled, ready, resting like an old friend who's stopped asking questions. She hasn't looked at the passport in over a decade. The name reads Maria Candelaria, issued in Panama, now long expired. The photo shows her with shorter hair and no expression. A face wiped clean of its history, or trying to be. Underneath the passport is a folded page from a long-dead newspaper. She doesn't need to open it. She knows what it says. It's the article that never ran. The one about a secret meeting between a Miami district attorney and a known associate of hers, right before a crucial case mysteriously collapsed. She paid dearly for that silence. Not in money, but in people. Many people still think Griselda's empire survived longer than it should have because of blackmail material like this. Old tapes, old articles, old sins kept frozen like emergency rations. So what do you think? Did she win by being brutal, or by knowing where every skeleton was buried? Even the ones in suits? She places the passport on the floor beside the bag. Then she takes out the cassette. It's labeled in black marker, Corte Suprema, 1983. She plays it in the sewing room's portable recorder, an old clunky thing that buzzes and skips. At first, nothing. Then voices, Spanish, fast. A man says her name. Another curses. Then someone says, "She owns this court. We're just actors." She stops the tape. She doesn't need to hear more. She knows what's on it. It's insurance, or revenge, or both, depending on the weather. From the hallway, a knock. She stiffens. No one knocks on the sewing room door. "El Negro?" she calls. No answer. She presses the stop button on the tape, tucks everything back in the velvet bag, and slips it into the cabinet's false drawer. She rises, opens the door slowly. Empty hallway. But a flower sits on the floor just outside. Not jasmine this time. An orchid, white with a yellow center. She picks it up, smells it, tilts her head. "She's back," she murmurs. That evening, she speaks to the gardener. Yes, speaks. She finds him near the rear gate, trimming the low hedges into impossible symmetry. She watches him a moment, then says, "I know you were in the market last Thursday." He doesn't turn. "You walked past a woman in yellow. She gave you something." He still doesn't turn. She walks closer. "I'm not angry. I'm curious." He finally looks at her and speaks. "She said you'd know what to do." His voice is dry, sandpaper over stone. It startles her. After all these years, after the thousands of times he stayed silent, she nods. "Did she say her name?" "She said she was your reflection." Griselda walks away before her knees give out. That night, she skips dinner. She plays the piano instead. What's left of it. The keys are slightly out of tune. She doesn't care. The music is rough, uneven, like her hands have forgotten how to be gentle. She plays the same melody over and over until she hears it. A second piano. Not real, not echoing, but remembered. That girl in yellow, that dream, the smile. It was her, not her daughter, not her shadow. Her in younger form, before the empire, before the guns, before the lies and the sugar-dusted poison. A version of herself that never got born. A woman without the weapon. Many people still think that Griselda had a split sense of self. One persona for the empire, one for the mirror. So what do you think? Can a person survive that kind of fracture? Or do they just learn to wear the mask until the mask becomes skin? She finishes the last note and lets it fade. Then she goes to the solarium and writes a letter. No address, just a name on the envelope, La Sombra. Inside 5 words. I hope you know the cost. She seals it, burns it, then watches the flame until it becomes nothing but ash. The fan clicks on overhead. Outside, the fountain resumes its rhythm. Inside the cabinet, the cassette ticks softly, as if it's remembering her. The rain begins before dawn, not the wild, shouting storms of the Miami coast she once knew, but a steady, slow weeping that wraps around the villa like silk, dipped in melancholy. It paints the leaves glossy, softens the hard edges of the cobblestone walk, and quiets even the birds, who seem to know this morning isn't meant for noise. Griselda wakes early. She hasn't slept. Not really. Her bed looks untouched. The pillows still neat. The sheets crisp except for one place where her elbow rested as she sat up all night. A cup of tea, long gone cold, waits beside her on the nightstand like a loyal pet that never asks questions. She dresses in gray today. No silk, just a long wool shawl with frayed edges. It feels heavier than usual, like her past finally soaked through the fabric. Downstairs, El Negro waits with a folder. You should see this, he says simply. Inside, a photograph. Grainy, taken from across the street. A woman, slim, sharp shoulders, yellow dress. She's walking into a government building in Bogota. No timestamp, no photographer credited, just a sticky note attached with 2 words. You lose. Griselda stares at the photo for a long time, then she turns it over. On the back, someone has drawn a spiral. Black ink. Endless loops. A callback. An inside joke. A threat. All 3. El Negro, she says. Do we still have the keys to the vault? He blinks. Which one? The one in the wall behind the mirror. She hasn't mentioned that place in years. He nods. Still locked. Still untouched. She gestures. Get me the blue key. By noon, she's in the vault. It isn't large. More like a recessed closet built for one very specific purpose. To outlast betrayal. Inside are 4 boxes. Metal. Unlabeled. Inside each, documents, cash, and recordings. But she goes for the envelope marked Martinez, the judge. The one who buried 5 of her enemies in paperwork so dense, no one even remembers their names. She removes a flash drive. On it, footage, sound, a record of things said behind closed doors. Insurance. You going to use it? El Negro asks quietly. She looks at him. No, she says. I'm going to leak it. That evening, a local journalist receives a package. No return address, no note, just the drive, and 1 printed phrase. Clean hands still leave fingerprints. Many people still think Griselda's true skill wasn't violence. It was timing. So what do you think? When the empire crumbled, was it her ruthlessness or her patience that let her walk away untouched? At dinner, she finally eats. Only bread and broth, but it's more than she's managed in days. The television is on in the background, volume low. A news anchor reads something about corruption in Bogota. Anonymous source. Unverified footage. A name is mentioned. Judge Martinez. She doesn't look up. She just dips her bread into the soup and chews slowly. After the dishes are cleared, she steps out into the garden. The rain has stopped. The fountain drips in perfect rhythm now. No skipping, no sputtering. She sits by it, coma pads over, and rests his head against her knee. She strokes him absently, eyes lost in the movement of the water. A memory arrives, uninvited. Raulito again. But this time, he's older, maybe 20. He's yelling. She's holding a gun. Neither one of them blinks. Then nothing. The memory ends before the resolution. She whispers, "I'm sorry." But not to him, to herself. To whoever she once was before the empire built itself around her like a prison disguised as a palace. Later that night, she finds another note, slipped under her bedroom door, folded precisely. Inside just a single line. "Why did you lie about Queens?" She lights it with a match, watches it burn in the sink. Then she walks to the mirror, the one hiding the vault. She stares at herself, but for a moment, just one. She swears the reflection smiles first. A siren wails somewhere far off in the hills. Just one long cry, then silence. Griselda hears it from the solarium, where she's been sitting since dawn, watching fog roll in through the pine trees like ghosts returning home without knocking. The villa feels different today, not unsafe, just porous, as if the walls have finally grown tired of holding their breath. She lights a cigarette, rare these days, and opens the worn leather case that holds her old address book. Names in faded ink, numbers that no longer connect, cities that have changed hands, governments, even time zones. She flips through the pages slowly, letting memory crawl up her spine. Carmela, Miami, red heels, always whispered Dario. Never call on Sundays, J. Herrera. If dead, call wife. If not, avoid. Each name is a ghost, each line a loose thread. But one catches her eye, La Niña, only if cornered. She doesn't remember writing it, but the handwriting is hers. She closes the book and slips it under the cushion beside her. The knock comes 15 minutes later. 2 taps, then 2 more. El Negro appears almost immediately. "It's the priest," he says. Griselda frowns. "Which one?" "The new one." She sighs. "Bring him to the parlor and check his bag." 10 minutes later, she's seated across from a man in black robes, too clean, too starched. His hands are folded, his eyes wide, but not afraid, just alert, like a man trying to read her pulse through conversation. "I've come about the confessions," he says. Her eyebrow lifts. "I didn't schedule any sins this week." He offers a tight smile. "Some of the parishioners have spoken of you." Quietly, respectfully. "I'd prefer they forget me entirely. I think forgetting you would take a miracle." He places a small cloth pouch on the table between them, tied at the top with string. She doesn't move. "It's yours," he says. "I don't take gifts." Then call it a memory. Inside, a rosary, but not just any. Hers, the original, the one from Miami, the one she'd lost the night of the Queens incident. Black onyx beads, silver crucifix, a tiny crack near Christ's left foot. She doesn't ask how he got it. She just stares. "Do you believe in penance?" he asks. "I believe in ledgers," she replies. He nods, as if that's the most honest thing he's heard all week. Many people still think Griselda made arrangements with clergy toward the end. Not for confession, but for protection. So, what do you think? Did she seek absolution, or merely look for another vault to store her secrets? The priest stands. "One last thing," he says. She waits. There's talk of a name resurfacing. Her eyes narrow. "Whose?" "R. Blanco." The room stills. Even the air feels nervous. "Be careful," he says softly. "He may not be your echo. He may be your mirror." After he leaves, Griselda pours herself a glass of rum. Something stronger than her usual tea, with less forgiveness in every drop. She walks out to the back patio and stares at the rain pooling in the garden tiles. A single footprint remains, slightly smaller than hers. Not Coma's, not Teresa's. Someone lighter. Someone deliberate. She doesn't call for El Negro. She doesn't even wipe it away. Instead, she opens the rosary pouch again and studies the crack in the crucifix. Runs her thumb across the surface. Then she whispers something into the evening air. "Come home if you're brave enough." That night, she doesn't sleep. She plays the cassette from the trap door, Corte Suprema, 1983, for the 5th time. Listens past the voices, past the panic, to the final seconds, where a voice says faint and tired. The queen never leaves the board, not really. She rewinds, listens again. Same words, same tone, only this time she realizes the voice is hers. There's a birthday in the house today. Not hers, not any of the staff's. It's the youngest grandson, Esteban, Andres's boy. He's never been to the villa. He doesn't even know she exists. But Griselda knows everything about him. His favorite cartoon, his mild allergy to pineapple, the scar on his left knee from a tricycle mishap. She knows because Andres told her, carefully, over tea one afternoon. Like passing off a package too precious to keep, but too dangerous to leave unattended. And today, he turns 5. Griselda doesn't bake. She hasn't in decades. But she orders a cake anyway. Chocolate, with white icing. She instructs the bakery to write Feliz Cumpleaños Y on top. Nothing more. She doesn't sign the card. The delivery arrives in the late morning, boxed and tied neatly with gold string. She stares at it for a long time before sliding it across the table to El Negro. You'll take it, she says. To where? You know the school. He nods. Don't let them see you. Leave it at the front office. No note, no eyes. As he heads out, she exhales slowly and whispers to herself. 5 already. God help us if he's anything like me. The villa is too quiet in his absence. She walks the perimeter, trailing her fingers along the concrete walls. She counts the cracks, the places where lizards sun themselves, the subtle shifts in shadow as the day drags its heels across the sky. Inside, Teresa's absence is still felt. The new maid, Mariana, moves too fast, tries too hard, hums too softly. She isn't a spy. Not yet. But she's listening. They all do. Griselda watches her dust the shelves with the delicacy of someone touching ancient bones. You like old things? Griselda asks. Mariana freezes, then nods. They tell stories, she replies. Griselda smiles faintly. Just be careful they don't talk back. At lunch, she dines alone. The soup is thin, the bread slightly stale. She eats anyway, methodically, as if the act itself is more habit than hunger. Halfway through the meal, she hears something. A pop, then another. Not gunfire. Balloons. She walks to the solarium and looks out. In the garden, a string of small balloons tied to the base of the fountain. Yellow, white, one blue. Dancing slightly in the breeze, she steps outside, robe dragging behind her like smoke. On the ground beneath the balloons is a toy truck. Plastic, red, new. Inside the truck bed, a folded drawing. Crayon. Again. A woman in a gray shawl. A child beside her. No smile. Just 2 faces looking at each other. On the back, a single line. Next year I'll bring candles. Many people still think Griselda received these strange, quiet messages as a form of psychological warfare from her enemies or admirers. So what do you think? Were they threats? Or breadcrumbs left by family she dared not claim? She doesn't move the truck. She doesn't pop the balloons. She simply stands there, letting the afternoon sun burn soft against her cheekbones, wondering if the message came from Andres or someone else entirely. When El Negro returns that evening, he says nothing, just nods once to confirm the cake was delivered, untouched, untraced. Griselda nods in return. They don't speak for the rest of the night. She walks back to her room and sits on the edge of the bed, pulls the blue notebook from beneath her pillow. Today's entry is brief. The boy looks nothing like me. Thank God. She places the notebook down, then reaches into her dresser drawer and pulls out a wrapped package. Inside, a small pearl bracelet. She bought it years ago, not for Esteban, for a granddaughter she never had. That night, she falls asleep with it in her hand and dreams of a girl in a yellow dress, running, laughing, never looking back. The gardener never works on Mondays. That's been the rule for 7 years. Longer than most staff survive under Griselda's roof. Mondays are his day to disappear, reappear, and never answer where he's been. And she's always allowed it. Because silence, after all, is the rarest form of loyalty. But today, he's in the garden before sunrise, clipping hedges that were trimmed yesterday, sweeping paths already clear of leaves, watering soil that doesn't need it. Griselda watches him through the solarium window, wrapped in her thin morning shawl, sipping a cup of black coffee that's already gone lukewarm. She sees it right away. He's not tending. He's waiting. By the fountain, he pauses, places something small on the stone lip, stands for a moment, head slightly bowed. Then he walks back to the side gate and vanishes before anyone can ask why. She steps outside. On the fountain edge, a chess piece, the queen, carved from bone, worn smooth from years of fingers. Griselda picks it up and turns it in her hand. Underneath it, someone has scratched a message into the stone with something sharp. Still standing? She pockets the piece, and for the first time in weeks, she laughs. Not a chuckle, not a smirk. A full laugh, sharp, short, and gone in a breath. Like the sound an old engine makes when it still decides to start. Back inside, she calls for El Negro. Check the gardener's quarters. He nods. An hour later, he returns. Empty. Completely? No, just careful. Griselda raises an eyebrow. He left the clippers, but not his boots. They both know what that means. No plans to return. That evening, Griselda finds herself pacing. She hasn't done that in years. Her body prefers stillness now, controlled movements. But tonight, she can't help it. There's a buzzing in her bones, a tension in the air. She walks the halls of the villa like a general inspecting trenches, stops by the pantry, opens a drawer, finds a photograph taped to the inside of the wood. It's old, black and white, faded to the point of ghostliness. It shows her, young, maybe 18, standing beside a man whose face is scribbled out, and in her arms, an infant, not any of her sons. Too small, too early. Many people still think Griselda had a child before her rise in Medellín. A baby born in secrecy, given away to protect the empire's illusion. So what do you think? Did she lose a daughter to time? Or create a phantom so convincing that even she forgot it wasn't real? She takes the photo to her room, places it under the mattress, just in case someone comes looking. That night, the villa power flickers. No storm, no outage, just a momentary blink of darkness. When the lights return, nothing's changed, except the mirror in the hallway. There's something drawn on it, with what looks like steam but doesn't wipe away. A spiral, same shape, same mocking loop. She doesn't flinch, she doesn't touch it. Instead, she goes to the study and opens the safe behind the bookcase, pulls out the cassette labeled NY Airport 1985, uncut. She plays it. The tape clicks on. Voices, interference. Then, her own. "I don't care who's waiting on the tarmac," she says. "No one moves until I say so." Another voice responds. Male. Familiar. "You think you can outlive this?" Then silence. Then a soft laugh. And a third voice. One she doesn't recognize. She already has. She stops the tape, stares at the recorder. A bead of sweat runs down her spine. She turns to El Negro. "Start packing," she says quietly. He blinks. "We're leaving?" "No, but someone will be." "Who?" She lifts the queen piece from her pocket and places it on the table. "I haven't decided yet." The sound of footsteps on tile is unmistakable. Not rushed, not sneaky, just deliberate. The kind that belong to someone who knows where they're going and knows they belong. Griselda hears them before she sees him. She's in the dining room, alone, staring at a plate of overcooked fish and rice she has no intention of eating. The fan above is rattling again, off balance, blades wobbling like a lie being told badly. Then he appears, not through the front, not escorted, through the side door, the one the gardener used. The boy is maybe 10, or perhaps he's younger and just carries the weight of something older. His shirt is clean, but inside out. His pants are too short, like they belonged to a taller cousin. One hand clutches a plastic toy, bright red, the shape of a gun molded from dollar store ambition. He stops at the threshold of the room. They lock eyes. Neither moves. Finally, Griselda stands, slow and quiet, as if rising in the presence of something ancient. "You're not lost," she says. He shakes his head. "Are you here alone?" Another shake. "Then who sent you?" He raises the plastic gun, not at her, just in the air, clicks the trigger once, empty. Then he says one word, "Truth." It sounds heavier than it should, like it was taught to him by someone who whispered it in pieces. She nods, points to the chair. He doesn't sit, just places the toy on the table, then pulls something from his pocket, a folded piece of paper, smoothed along the edges from being handled too much. He hands it to her. It's a drawing of her, but not as she is now, as she was in Queens, 1985. White blouse, hair pinned, sunglasses on her collar. Behind her, a plane on the runway, and standing behind that, a man with a blurred face. Underneath the drawing, a single line written in blocky, childlike script. "You left before the fire." Many people still think that the infamous Queens airport incident wasn't about a smuggling route at all, but about betrayal. So, what do you think? Did Griselda leave behind more than just drugs that night? Did she abandon something she never meant to carry? She folds the drawing, places it beside her untouched plate. "Does he know you're here?" she asks. The boy nods. "And what did he say to tell me?" The boy tilts his head, then smiles. Not sweet, not cruel, just knowing. Griselda feels it in her spine, the sharp tingle of a truth arriving faster than the body can process. He steps back, one foot into the hall, then the other. He's gone. By the time El Negro comes running, too late for once, the boy has vanished. No trace, no guard saw him, no cameras caught him, just the drawing on the table, and the toy gun, red, hollow. Griselda picks it up, turns it in her hands. It rattles softly. Something's inside. She pries it open. A rolled strip of film, tiny, fragile. She holds it up to the light. It shows a street corner in Bogota. 3 men, 1 woman in a yellow dress, and a boy, too small to be the one who just stood before her, but not too small to matter. She walks to the window. The sky is heavy. Rain is threatening but indecisive. The world holds its breath. She exhales, sits down, pulls the blue notebook from her lap. Today's entry is longer than usual. "A boy with my eyes came to dinner. He brought the past folded in crayon and left without asking for anything. I don't know his name. I think I gave it to someone else a long time ago. If he comes back, I will ask. Or maybe I won't. Some names are too loud to speak aloud." She puts the pen down, closes the notebook. The fan stutters once, then smooths out. Even the air settles, like it knows what comes next. And now the villa grows still. The halls, once full of invisible weight, soften into the hush of old breath finally exhaled. The drip of the fountain slows. The fan above her bed hums evenly, no longer wobbling, no longer off balance. Everything falls into rhythm, even the ghosts. Griselda lies back in her chair, the notebook resting gently on her chest, like a memory she's no longer afraid to carry. The boy is gone. The night is quiet. The dreams are waiting. Outside, the hills of Medellín glow faintly under a shy moon. No helicopters, no engines, no whispers behind closed doors. Just the soft murmur of trees moving like lullabies in the distance, and maybe, just maybe, the woman once called the Black Widow, the Cocaine Godmother, the Queen of Narco Miami, lets her eyes close, not in fear, not in readiness, but in rest. True rest. Whatever she's done, whatever she's lost, Whatever name she whispered once into the walls of an airport hangar in 1985, it stays with her, and only her, and somewhere, a child she may have never named drifts into sleep, unaware that a woman 1,000 miles away just wrote his future into the folds of a quiet, frayed notebook. The rain begins, not loudly, just enough to remind the earth. Some stories were never meant to end with a bang. Some fade gently, like smoke, or memory, or a queen stepping away from the board, not toppled, but finally tired. Rain has a way of cleaning what water alone never could. By morning, the villa feels scrubbed. Shadows pushed deeper into corners, dust chased back into the cracks between tile. The air smells like damp stone and cooled gunmetal. Griselda walks the halls barefoot, the floor still slick from the open balcony doors, robe trailing behind her like a discarded headline. She makes her way to the fountain. The queen chess piece is still in her pocket. She hasn't let go of it since the boy's visit. She runs her thumb across its ridged crown absent-mindedly, eyes fixed on the basin. There's something new today. Not a toy, not a flower, a cassette wrapped in a plastic sandwich bag, weighted with a single pebble. She doesn't need to guess where it came from. El Negro appears a moment later, breathing hard, pistol in hand. I saw no one. Griselda doesn't answer. She lifts the bag from the water, dries it with the hem of her robe, and walks inside. The tape is unlabeled. She inserts it into the recorder in the study, presses play. It starts with static, then silence, then a piano, slow, off-key, not a recording, live, and then a voice, male, mid-30s, calm. I asked them why she lied, he says. They said she had to. You weren't supposed to survive. A pause. She used to wear a red dress in the mornings, before the world knew her name. I remember the way she tied the belt. Tighter every year. Another pause. I didn't come for revenge. I came for recognition. Click. Tape ends. Griselda sits back, staring at the machine like it might blink. Many people still think Griselda faked her death not once, but twice. So what do you think? Could her silence have been a choice, not a sentence? And if so, what else did she leave breathing in the shadows behind her? Later that day, the phone rings. Not the burner, the house line. She answers. A voice speaks. This one female. You're being watched. Griselda raises an eyebrow. Always. No, the voice says. Watched by someone who still loves you. Click. The line goes dead. She doesn't call back. She goes to her mirror. The big one. The one she's avoided since the spiral appeared in the glass. Today, the spiral is gone. In its place, a faint smear. A smudge where a finger traced the shape of a name. Not quite legible, but she knows it anyway. Raul. She runs her hand over the glass. It's warm. That night, she orders the perimeter lights turned off. For the first time in years. I want to see the dark clearly, she tells El Negro. In the kitchen, she prepares her own tea. Herbs she hasn't touched in months. Ones she used to give to others. Never to herself. She pours, sips, waits, and dreams. She's on a rooftop in Bogota, alone. The sky is full of smoke, but no fire. Below, crowds chant. Not in protest, in celebration. She can't hear the words, only the rhythm. And then, someone stands beside her. Same height, same posture, same eyes. They don't speak. They just nod at each other and leap together into what she doesn't know. But it's not fear. It's not falling. It's release. She wakes. To quiet. To coma curled by the door. To a cassette ticking in the recorder. She hadn't played one, but it's running. She presses stop. Rewinds. Play. Silence. Then her voice. I left before the fire, but I left the match. She closes her eyes and listens to the night breathe. There are 2 birds nesting above the villa's main entryway. Griselda watches them every morning now, as if their tiny lives hold clues her own cannot offer. The larger one, always twitching, guarding, pecking at invisible threats. The smaller, watching from a distance, only fluttering in when the wind picks up too loudly. "They're smarter than they look," she murmurs, holding her coffee mug with both hands. El Negro stands a few paces behind, arms folded. He's been quieter these past few days, alert, wound tight in a way she hasn't seen since Miami. "You think it's the boy?" he asks. Griselda doesn't answer, because it's not just the boy. It's the rhythm. Everything is off. The garden no longer smells the same. The jasmine vines by the west wall are gone, ripped out overnight. No one confessed. The gardener, of course, is still missing. The fan in her bedroom hums too steadily now, almost mechanical. Someone adjusted the wiring. Someone is reminding her, "You are not alone." This morning's envelope isn't even hidden. It's taped to her wardrobe mirror, bold as brass. She doesn't open it immediately. She showers first. Dresses slowly. Gray slacks. Navy blouse. A single gold chain around her neck. One she used to wear when meeting with men who liked to underestimate her. Finally, she peels the envelope from the mirror. Inside, a photo. Black and white, slightly blurred. A priest, the same one who visited 2 weeks ago. Only this time he's seated in a restaurant. With Andres, neither look surprised. Under the photo, a message, handwritten in red ink. Who confesses to whom? Many people still think Griselda's late years were full of double games, surrounded by staff and visitors whose loyalties bent like candle smoke. So what do you think? Did she know and play along? Or did the queen finally misread the board? She folds the photo, burns it. Later, she finds the priest's card still in the drawer. She dials the number. Disconnected. She dials again. Same result. Then the line crackles back to life, but no one speaks. Just a breath. Then a phrase. "Stop rewriting your endings." Click. Griselda leans back in her chair, hand resting on the blue notebook. She opens it, flips to the back page, draws a new entry. No words this time. Just a queen. Toppled. Beside it, a date. July 17th. She underlines it twice. That night, she does something she hasn't done since 1991. She walks the entire villa barefoot, alone. No security, no flashlight. Just the pale hum of moonlight through curtains. In the kitchen, the fridge clicks. She opens it. It hums, then whines. She taps the back panel. Nothing. Then, a pop. The lights go out. Everywhere. Complete black. El Negro yells from somewhere upstairs. A shuffle of feet. A thud. She doesn't move, because she hears it. Breathing. Not her own. Not Coma's. From the pantry. She opens the door. Nothing. Then a sound. Small. Childlike. A voice. Truth is heavy. She lights a match. On the pantry floor, written in chalk, "Queens wasn't the fire. You were." She doesn't erase it. She closes the door, leaves the match to burn out in her fingers. She walks back to her bedroom and stares at her reflection. Still there. Still her. But the eyes look different now. Not afraid. Just tired of waiting. The lights return. The fan clicks on. Outside, one bird flies away. The other stays, watching. The phone rings at 3:03 a.m. Always 3:03. Not 3I. Not 3:05. There's a rhythm to that kind of timing, and Griselda doesn't believe in coincidence. Not anymore. She lets it ring 4 times before answering. Silence. Then static. Then music. Old. Crackling. A bolero. Contigo en la distancia. Her favorite. A voice follows. Young, flat, practiced. "Did you save the red ledger?" She doesn't answer. Just hangs up. Then stands. The fan above her head turns too smoothly now, as if lubricated by someone who understood its importance. The notebook on her nightstand lies closed, unused. She hasn't written in it for 2 days. Too much has changed, or not enough. She walks to the study, opens the wall safe. It's still there. The red ledger, leather cover, no title. Inside, records, the kind that could level buildings. Dates, codes, transfers, locations, nicknames and their real names. The kind of truth you don't tell under oath. She flips to a dog-eared page. Queens, 1985. There it is again. This time she reads the entry aloud slowly. Flight delayed 42 minutes. Raul not on board. MH arrived with duplicate briefcase. Switched. I left before ignition. Witness. Unknown child at the fence. She closes the book, hands trembling. There had been a child. She remembers now. Many people still think the Queen's incident was a cover for something much deeper than drugs. A silent war between cartels, intelligence agents, and one woman too dangerous to be left alive. So what do you think? Was Griselda's escape just strategy or divine interruption? Later that morning, El Negro finds a box at the gate, unmarked. No return address. Inside, an envelope. And a tooth. Gold. Back molar. A small chip at the edge. Griselda doesn't flinch. She knows whose it was. She opens the envelope. It's a photo. The gardener, lying in a hammock, eyes closed, alive. A small card taped to the corner of the photo. Still watching, still waiting. She nods, then turns to El Negro. I want a car at the ready. No license plates, full tank. Where to? She shrugs. Nowhere, yet. But she feels it. The net tightening. The story bending inward. That afternoon, Andres calls. First time in 2 weeks. Esteban liked the cake, he says. She says nothing. He drew you something. She waits. I think he sees you in dreams. Griselda exhales. That runs in the family. Then, who's La Sombra? He pauses, then says she's not after you. But she's near. Yes, she works alone. No one works alone. Click. Call ends. She stares at the dead line for a long time. Then calls the bakery. Orders another cake. No name this time. Just candles. 5. Again. That night, someone leaves a message in lipstick on her bathroom mirror. One word. Come. She wipes it clean with the edge of a towel, then smears the towel across the glass again. Rewrites a single word. When? The woman in the yellow dress arrives without warning. Not through the main gate. Not down the path. She's just there, standing at the far end of the villa's garden, beneath the guava tree that never bears fruit. Her back is to the house. Her hands are empty. Her posture? Relaxed. Like someone waiting for a cab. Not someone approaching the most feared woman in Colombia's underworld history. Griselda sees her from the upstairs window, says nothing. She descends slowly. No rush. Each step a negotiation between instinct and age. She does not alert El Negro. She doesn't arm herself. She simply walks out barefoot, shawl draped over her shoulders like a shroud she's grown comfortable with. When she reaches the edge of the garden, the woman turns. She's young, maybe 30. Skin clear, eyes dark, not afraid, not exactly bold either. Just certain. Certain that she belongs. Griselda tilts her head. You're late. The woman smiles faintly. No, she replies. You were early. They stand in silence. Birds chirp, but only in the trees beyond the wall. The ones within the villa's garden remain still. You've been sending messages, Griselda says. No, the woman replies. Just reminders. You sent the boy. The woman shakes her head. He sent himself. Griselda studies her. Are you her? I'm many things. La Sombra? A beat. Then softly, among others, they walk together without speaking. Down the stone path, past the fountain, toward the rear wall. When they stop, the woman says, You left something in Queens. Griselda nods. A name. The woman nods back. And a witness. Still alive? He called you last week. Griselda frowns. The priest? No. The woman steps forward, lowers her voice. The gardener? Griselda stiffens. I thought, he's not dead, just returned. To who? The woman shrugs. To whoever needed him more. Many people still think that Griselda's most trusted employees were never who they claimed to be. Planted early, let grow deep, until the roots wrapped around the truth and snapped it. So what do you think? Did she command an empire? Or just inherit a theater where everyone already had a role? They stop walking. The woman turns. You're not being hunted, she says. No, you're being remembered. Griselda blinks. By whom? The woman smiles. By history. She pulls something from her pocket. A locket. Old. Silver. The clasp broken. She hands it to Griselda. Inside, a photo. Small. Torn at the edge. Of Griselda. Holding a baby. Not one of her sons. A daughter. She remembers the moment. Like thunder remembers the flash. She died, she whispers. The woman says nothing. Griselda clutches the locket. I buried her in silence, so no one could use her against me. The woman finally speaks again. You can stop burying things now. They stand a while longer. Then the woman walks away. No goodbyes, no threats, no promises. Just the soft pad of sandals on wet stone. Later, El Negro finds Griselda on the garden bench, fingers still wrapped around the locket. He says nothing, but she speaks. Have the car ready. For tomorrow? No, she says, for whenever the next name arrives. That night, she dreams of a room full of mirrors, each one cracked, each one showing a version of her younger face. But in the center, a child, with her smile, and a scar above the eyebrow that she remembers stitching shut with trembling fingers, and a sewing needle meant for curtains. The child speaks. Not a name, not a plea, just a single word. Stay. By morning, the sky is thick with gray. The kind of cloud cover that makes the world feel held in place. Like someone pressed pause on color. Griselda sits in the solarium with her feet up, the locket still in her hand. She hasn't opened it again. She doesn't need to. The image is already seared behind her eyes, like an afterflash from staring too long at something that burned. El Negro enters quietly. We found a letter. She gestures. He places it on the table. No envelope, just a folded sheet, smudged at the corners. She opens it. It's written in blue ink. No name, no greeting. You were never supposed to raise an empire. You were supposed to raise her. She reads it once, then again, then folds it back up and slides it beneath the cushion of the wicker chair. No one says anything. Outside, Coma barks once, then again, then silence, the kind of silence that has direction. She stands, moves to the hallway. The front door is ajar, but no one entered. Only a box, wrapped in brown paper. String tied in a perfect square knot. No name. She opens it right there on the tile. Inside, a doll, old threadbare, the kind children drag by the arm across cracked sidewalks and kitchen floors. Its dress is yellow. Pinned to its chest, a note. Queens wasn't the fire, it was the escape. Griselda closes the box gently, carries it into the study, places it on the floor beside the desk, and doesn't speak of it again. That afternoon, the phone rings. Again, 3:03 p.m. this time. She answers. Silence. Then, the flight manifest was altered. She exhales. I know. You never told him. I told myself. Click. The tone now is not threat, not mockery, just confirmation. Many people still think Griselda's final years were spent chasing not enemies, but pieces of herself. So, what do you think? When you erase so many tracks, can you still find your way back to the first footprint? That evening, she does something reckless. She writes a name in the notebook, a name she promised never to write again. Isabel. She stares at it for a long time, then draws a line through it, then redraws it. Bolder? Below it, she writes. She knew what a storm felt like before she could spell it. The villa feels restless now. Doors creak that never creaked before. The hallway mirror has a crack that wasn't there yesterday. Even the paintings seem to lean inward. She walks the perimeter at dusk, shawl draped like fog over her shoulders. At the rear wall, someone has carved a spiral. Again, but this one is tighter, less playful. At the center, a single symbol. White Queen, a chess queen, scratched deep into the stone. No longer a reminder. Now, a declaration. That night, she sleeps lightly. The dreams come early. The girl is back, wearing white this time, older, standing at the edge of a river, holding a suitcase. She doesn't speak. She just drops the case into the water and walks away. Griselda watches her vanish into the mist. And for the first time, she doesn't try to follow. Morning arrives with a thud. Not thunder, not a knock. An actual thud. Low, hollow, deliberate. Griselda hears it from her bedroom. She's already awake, sitting on the edge of the bed, clutching the queen chess piece in one hand and a teacup in the other. Her dreams had been restless again, filled with empty hallways and ticking clocks. She walks barefoot down the stairs, the marble cold beneath her arches. At the front door, El Negro is already waiting. The look on his face says it all. Another package. This one is heavier, wrapped in thick butcher paper, twine laced 3 times around the width. There's no label, no handwriting, but tucked beneath the twine is a feather, black, glossy, longer than a crow's. Griselda stares at it. "Bring it to the garden," she says. They place it on the stone bench near the guava tree, the same one where the woman in the yellow dress stood just days ago. Griselda unties the string carefully, removes the paper. Inside, a stack of documents, photocopies, old, grainy, labeled in red pen. Cartagena, 1973, internal investigation. She reads through them slowly, lips pursed. They detail a failed sting operation, one she barely remembers. The names come back like echoes. Detectives, cousins, someone from Miami who had turned too eager too quickly. But one photo stops her cold. A girl, maybe 6, maybe 7, curly hair, wide eyes, a scar over her eyebrow, same scar as the girl in her dreams. Beneath the photo, unconfirmed, witness or plant, Griselda feels her breath tighten because she remembers that day now. The way the wind caught her scarf, the way the radio played Bésame Mucho, the way a child stared at her from across the plaza, while 2 men argued nearby. She had dismissed the child. Now, decades later, she's staring into that same face, folded and yellowed with time. And still somehow watching her, many people still think that Griselda's power came not from violence, but from who she spared. So what do you think? Was the girl in the plaza a mistake, or the beginning of her undoing? She places the photo on the bench beside her, the feather too. Then she whispers, "I see you now." That afternoon, the villa receives a visitor, not a person, a crate, delivered by an anonymous courier, wheeled in by a boy who doesn't speak, doesn't meet eyes. The crate is sealed with brass clamps. Inside, a mirror, large, full length, framed in black wood with the outline of a crown carved at the top. They place it in the hallway. Griselda studies herself in the reflection, then sees, on the mirror's edge, a symbol carved so finely it's almost invisible unless the light hits just right. A spiral. At the center, the white queen symbol again. She smiles faintly. "Someone knows how to play," she murmurs. That evening, she stands before the mirror in her nightgown, hair loose, rosary in hand. She watches herself breathe, then steps closer, places a hand on the glass. It's cold, but beneath the chill, vibration, a hum, low, steady, like a voice not yet speaking. She closes her eyes, listens, and hears her name, not as the world said it, not Griselda Blanco, not La Madrina, but Mama. Soft, scared, familiar. She opens her eyes. The reflection is unchanged, but in her chest, something shifts. A knot loosens, not entirely, but enough. She places the rosary on the floor beneath the mirror, turns off the hallway light, and walks away, letting the night carry whatever it needs. There's something wrong with the fountain. Again, it's subtle, just a change in pitch. The steady rhythm has flattened into a dull trickle, as if the water's given up trying to sound like peace. Griselda notices the shift from the solarium, mid-sip of her morning tea. She sets the cup down and walks outside. The sky is colorless today. Not gray, not blue, just blank. The kind of sky that makes everything below feel like it's happening indoors, even when it's not. She approaches the fountain slowly. At first, nothing seems out of place. The chess queen is still where she left it, resting at the base of the central pillar. The guava tree sways gently. Coma snoozes beneath the bench, but then she sees it. A sliver of paper, wet, clinging to the inside edge of the fountain's stone bowl. She kneels, slips her fingers into the cold water, and pulls it free. It's a page from a book, torn cleanly. She lays it on the sun-warmed stone to dry. It's from Don Quixote. She knows the passage, has read it before, many times. When life itself seems lunatic, who knows where madness lies? Perhaps to be too practical is madness, to surrender dreams. This may be madness. Underlined in black ink, at the bottom, a handwritten note. You never stop dreaming. That's why they feared you. She doesn't speak, just stares, then laughs. A soft, low sound, barely more than breath. El Negro, she calls. He appears from the archway, blinking in the overcast light. Run the perimeter again. Today feels theatrical. He nods. By midday, another message arrives. This time it's not hidden. A manila envelope is hand-delivered by a woman on a motorbike. Helmet on. Engine running. She never speaks. Just holds the package toward El Negro, then speeds off without so much as a nod. Inside the envelope, a photo album. The cover is cracked leather. Griselda opens it slowly, as if expecting heat or music to rise from its seams. Each page holds a single image, all of them of her, but not public moments, private ones. Her holding Dario at age 4, her smoking on a Miami balcony, staring into the sea, her dancing in a hallway in bare feet, hair pinned back, eyes closed. And the final image, her sitting on the floor of the villa, right where she is now, taken from above, yesterday. Many people still think Griselda's retreat into the hills of Medellín was not solitude, but surveillance. So what do you think? When your life becomes legend, is anyone ever truly watching? Or are they all just remembering? She closes the album, places it on the mantel. Later that afternoon, she walks to the mirror in the hallway. The spiral has vanished. In its place, someone has written, again in lipstick, again without sound, 2 words, "Still Queen." She wipes it away, then rewrites it, but this time she changes 1 word. Still here. That night, she listens to an old cassette marked Mendoza, kitchen tape. It's low quality. The voices are muffled, but hers is clear. You're going to lie for me, and you're going to smile while you do it. A pause. Then someone says, "And if I don't?" And her voice replies, soft as silk, "Then I'll wait, and you'll wish I hadn't." She stops the tape, not because she's finished, but because she finally hears the fear in her own voice. Not rage, not threat, just exhaustion dressed as control. Before bed, she writes in the notebook again, just 1 line. Maybe power is what we use when we're too afraid to be remembered gently. She closes the book, sets it on the nightstand, and turns off the light. For once, the fan doesn't hum, and she doesn't mind. She dreams of the boy again, only this time, he's older. A teenager now, taller, lean, still holding that same plastic gun, but the color has faded. It's cracked along the barrel. The red has dulled to a kind of dusty maroon like old blood in sunlight. He stands at the edge of a field, facing her. Behind him, fog. Ahead of her, nothing but ground that trembles with every second she stays silent. He speaks first. He forgot something. She doesn't ask what. She wakes before he can finish the sentence. The notebook is already in her lap, though she doesn't remember retrieving it. The Queen piece lies beside her pillow, and the cassette recorder is on, spinning a tape that no one put in. Click, click, click. Empty. She stands, walks to the solarium, finds a manila envelope waiting on the breakfast table. El Negro swears no one passed through the gate, but it's there. This one's different. Not just paper. Inside, a USB drive, glossy black, taped to a handwritten card. For her eyes only, she takes it to the old laptop she keeps in the study. Air-gapped, ancient, still ticking from a time when online meant risk, and risk meant leverage. The drive opens a single file. No title, just video. She clicks play. Grainy footage, low res, silent. A hallway. Her hallway. From last night, she sees herself walk past the mirror, then sees something else. A shadow. Brief, sharp. Steps out after her. It doesn't follow. Just lingers, watching. She pauses the video, zooms in, freezes it. A woman, in yellow, face obscured. But the posture is hers, from 30 years ago. Same lean, same left foot forward stance, same wrist scar. Many people still think that Griselda used body doubles late in her career. But some believe it went further, that she created versions of herself, trained and left behind, like planted mines. So what do you think? Was the woman in yellow a double or something closer? Griselda closes the laptop, removes the USB, burns it, no hesitation. That night, she eats alone. Broth, one slice of toast, peppermint tea with honey. She asks for no candles, no music, no guards nearby. The villa sits heavy in the dark, like a creature curled up to sleep one final time. She writes again, this time a letter, longer than usual, not for the notebook, for Andres. Dear Andres, tell him I'm sorry. For everything. For the names I never said. For the ones I said too often. For teaching silence where love should have spoken. For showing him how to disappear before he knew what staying meant. He is not mine, but he is of me, and I hope that is a gift, not a curse. Burn this, or don't. It changes nothing. But still, I owed him words. Even if I never speak them. She signs it with a single G, seals it in an envelope, marks it. Hold until needed. That night, she returns to the hallway mirror. It's clean, but behind the glass, she sees something shift. Not her, not a trick of light, a second reflection. Not smiling, not threatening, just waiting. She steps closer and whispers, I remember now. The reflection nods and vanishes. The light above flickers once, then steadies. She walks back to her room, doesn't write again, doesn't lock the door, doesn't check the cameras. She lies down, lets the fan spin, and for once, dreams nothing. Only breath, only dark, only stillness. The villa wakes before she does. El Negro paces outside the solarium with a radio clutched tight, murmuring into it like he's coaxing secrets from static. The new maid, Mariana, drops a dish in the kitchen, ceramic against tile, shattering like something more important than a plate. Even Coma, usually slow to stir, is already pacing the perimeter. Something has shifted. Griselda senses it before her eyes even open. She sits up slowly, the queen chess piece still clutched in her palm from the night before. Her fingers have left small crescent dents in the ivory, pressure marks from a sleep that wasn't restful, but necessary. On her nightstand sits a single object, a coin, old, worn, the imprint of Simon Bolivar almost erased from time. Underneath it, a note. It's your move. She dresses without fanfare. Black today. High collar. A chain with a tiny padlock. One she wore in Miami after her third arrest and final escape. Downstairs, El Negro is waiting. There's something outside the gate, he says. What kind of something? Someone. She raises an eyebrow. A man just standing. And? He's not speaking, just waiting. Griselda walks to the monitor. The camera feed shows him. Slim, dressed in gray, hands behind his back, sunglasses despite the clouded sky. She doesn't recognize him, which means she probably should. She studies the footage, zooms in on his lapel. A pin, the shape, a spiral. Her breath catches, not out of fear, but out of confirmation. Many people still think the spiral symbol was more than just graffiti. It was a mark used by an inner circle long before her empire came crashing down. So what do you think? Was the spiral a warning, a remembrance, or an invitation to return? She walks to the front door, opens it herself. The man doesn't speak as she approaches, doesn't move. She stands 5 feet away. What's your name? She asks. He removes the glasses, eyes dark, steady, kind. You already gave it to me, he says. Her stomach tightens. Howlit? He smiles, just barely, then reaches into his coat and pulls out a book. Not a weapon, a book. Her blue notebook, the original one. The one she lost after Queens. The one she thought had burned. He hands it to her. I read it all, he says softly. She takes it, opens to the first page. I only write what I don't want to say out loud. The words tremble more now than they did when she first wrote them. She looks up, but he's already walking away. Not fast, just done. She doesn't call after him. She lets him leave. Back inside, she opens the book fully. It's filled. Every page. Notes, sketches, confessions. Some not hers. Someone continued it. In her voice. In her rhythm. At the back, one final entry. She taught me silence, but I returned to speak. That night she doesn't eat. She reads every word, aloud, to the quiet. When she finishes, she walks to the mirror. No spiral now, just her. And behind her, empty space. No reflection, just light. She writes one final thing on a sticky note, leaves it on the edge of the mirror. It reads, I forgive you. It's unclear who it's for, but it lingers, even after she leaves the room, even after the lights go out, even after the chess piece on the nightstand falls to the floor with the softest sound in the world, a sound no one hears, but history will remember. The rain arrives without thunder, just a gentle mist at first. Then, by degrees, a steady curtain that drapes itself over the villa, like a gray veil pulled over a memory. The kind of rain that mutes everything. Bird calls, car engines, even breath. Griselda does not rise this morning. She sits in her room with the curtains open, wrapped in a shawl so soft it could be mistaken for air. The queen piece is gone from her nightstand. She left it on the bench by the guava tree 2 nights ago, and never went back for it. She watches the garden. The rain pools around the fountain now, turning its perfect circle into a cloudy mirror. The birds don't land. The dog doesn't bark. El Negro checks in once. You want breakfast? She shakes her head. Want me to call the priest? No more middlemen. He nods, leaves the room, and for the first time, doesn't shut the door behind him. A breeze floats in, smells of soil and old stone. She opens the notebook, and flips to the back. There's only one blank page left. She doesn't reach for the pen. Instead, she closes it, presses her palm flat on the cover, and lets it rest there like a quiet heartbeat. Downstairs, the mirror shimmers. A visitor waits in the hallway, but when El Negro checks, no one is there. Only the reflection of a woman sitting, facing forward, hands folded, eyes closed. In Griselda's room, the cassette recorder clicks. Not on, just clicks. A mechanical whisper from decades past. She doesn't react. Instead, she walks to the dresser and opens the top drawer. Inside, her original passport, the one she used before Miami, before Queens, before the Empire. She pulls it out, holds it to her chest, then places it inside an envelope. On the envelope, she writes, "Return to sender." She seals it, stamps it, leaves it on the table, then walks barefoot into the solarium, where the windows are fogged, and the world beyond looks like a dream too shy to clarify itself. She sits on the bench, closes her eyes, waits. Outside the gate, a woman in yellow walks past. She does not stop. She does not look up. She simply leaves something tucked in the ivy by the wall. It's a photo of Griselda, smiling. Not the smirk she wore for cameras, not the calculated curve that followed verdicts. A real smile, slight, unsure, taken at a time when no one had yet given her a name worth fearing. The rain takes it within minutes, but not before El Negro sees it. He doesn't pick it up. He simply watches it dissolve. That night, Griselda does not write. She lights a candle. 1 wick, 1 hour. She watches the flame and says nothing. Many people still think she died in obscurity. Others swear she moved again. New name, new country, new silence. But you, what do you think? Was this the end? Or did the Cocaine Godmother simply fold herself into the shadow she became? The flame flickers once, then goes out, just like that. And now the story softens. The edges blur. The rain hushes itself to a whisper, like it too is tired of asking questions. Inside the villa, the last of the lights dim one by one, not with urgency, but with care. as if someone is walking through the rooms, cradling each silence in their hands before letting it rest. Griselda sits in the dark, the shawl around her shoulders warm not from fabric, but from memory. The ghosts have all taken their places. The notebooks are full, the tapes rewound. The fan above her bed turns just once, then stops. No longer needed to push time forward. If power was once her weapon, now peace is her final defense. No more questions to ask, no more doors to guard, no more mirrors waiting for a version of herself to step forward. Somewhere, far off, a boy dreams of a woman in gray. Somewhere else, a girl walks a garden path barefoot, whispering the names of people she's never met. And in the quiet hills above Medellín, a house stands, still breathing, still remembering, but no longer waiting. Let your thoughts quiet now. Let your eyes close gently. Let the echoes rest. Because Griselda Blanco's story, whether legend or lullaby, has reached its final page, and not with a bang, but with a breath.